What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Happy Sunday. Huge win for the Eagles today. Jalen Hurts. That was crazy. If any NFL fans are in here, man, that was crazy. Usually when you guys hear me talking on Sundays or Mondays, it's always bad when we're talking football. So I'm pretty happy. But yeah, moving on. Let's not talk about football. But happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody had a good weekend, ready for Monday. New comic book day is 3 days away. So that's exciting. I hope everybody, has some time to relax over what happened in that Disney stuff. So let's have a fun show today. Speaking of Disney, we're going to be talking about the Disney announcements that came about, what was it, Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. We're just going to have a fun chat. Hopefully the chat gets involved and, we can talk some books, where we think some projects are going and things like that. I do have some guests with me. My first guest is no other than Mr. FaceTime. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, man?
Happy weekend. Happy Eagles win.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take it.
Yeah, man. Fuck. Finally, eh?
Right.
So, we're talking Disney. Mr. Hyper will be joining us a bit later. But yeah, we're talking Disney. I think everybody just went crazy. I mean, you could see it on Kijiji. Kijiji's like the Craigslist of Canada for the States, I guess. But eBay and things like that, like it's blown up. It's crazy. You're seeing the same books. You're seeing the same pictures of books because people are going nuts for the same stuff. Which happens, right? I mean, something comes out, a rumor happens, and then all of a sudden everybody has it, or everybody is buying it or selling it and things like that. So, I didn't expect anything that didn't happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there were a lot of announcements, but I think most of them were pretty much stuff that had been speculated to be coming for quite a while.
I don't. Okay, which ones do you think were surprises? Like, did any stand out or stick out to you?
Well, actually, yeah, the one that we were just talking about before the show started, Armor Wars, kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting them to announce that.
Yeah, the Armor Wars, blew my mind. It kind of makes sense now on why Don Cheadle,
Don Cheadle,
his character got signed for 3 more years. It just makes sense now.
Right, definitely.
Not 3 years, but three different projects, right? So it got extended. So that just makes a ton of sense. The one that really surprised me was Ironheart, to be honest with you. Only because I didn't think that she was going to get her own thing. I thought we were going to see her kind of drastically gain some momentum and gain some popularity, and then maybe, years down the road, just come up and do something, like a prequel or something like that. So,
well,
two really surprised.
Ironheart's an interesting choice. It's a good choice. I mean, Miss Marvel is a pretty safe bet for Marvel and Disney to produce as a series. For the part, they're not reaching too much in producing there. You know what you're going to get. It's going to be more of probably something that, families can sit down and watch together on Disney Plus as like a weekly type of show or something like that. Ironheart, kind of delves a little deeper into that, but starts to pick up on the more, maybe I guess the less well-known characters. I was going to say more obscure, but that's not really true either. I guess it's just a little less well-known, and gives them more potential to dig even further into that. So
yeah, I will take some knowledge to or take some time to acknowledge the chat, actually. So we got a few faces here.
We got everyone.
What's going on? I'm here for the video game Super Mario sound effects. He's
That's what
referring.
we're all here for.
He's referring to my giveaway video that I kind of just made some crazy sound effects. But yeah, if you haven't already, go check out that giveaway. Giving away 4 books. Bricks, what's up, buddy? Sparks, what's going on? If you guys haven't checked out Sparks on YouTube, make sure you guys check him out. I believe he's going live tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific, Eastern, Central, something. He'll put it in the chat, but just make sure you guys.
I believe I just saw an announcement for him doing a show tonight at 11:30 with Hyper Combo.
Yeah, perfect. We got yes, Edwin, what's going on? Kid Collector. We got a few people here. Wow. Hawaiian Punch, one of my favorite people in the community. Johnny Dakota, Elbow Cop, Edwin. So, So newbie, what books are you going to blow up after the announcements? I'm trying to have an early retirement and all these copies. Okay, so
I guess it depends on how many copies of Brigade One you have.
Yeah,
so got 1 million and you can get $1 each. You're doing pretty good. So
I kind of for Ironheart, I'll be doing it tomorrow when we do our new comic book day in spec, because my spec actually was on the character already. I didn't even know that Disney was going to announce this, but I just had it already planned out. So it actually just fits pretty well. We'll be talking.
So you're not a Disney insider?
No. The one thing that I will say, Sparks had mentioned, so 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay, there you go. So the one thing that I saw Sparks say was Lords of the Long Box had long-term spec on Armor Wars. I had made a spec about Armor Wars like Thursday, without reading it, obviously reading the storyline, but without reading or listening to anybody talk. I was personally saying I believe the West Coast Avengers could show up. That is something that I'll be looking for. Take it for whatever it is. Whether it's going to be $1,000 book or anything like that, no. But I do think that you could find this book for $5 to $20, depending on the condition. It hits, and you might have something special, because if it does get popular, then guess what? It blows up. It gets its own stuff. It creates chatter. It creates marketability, things like that. That's the only thing, Armor Wars, that I will touch base on. I don't think anybody's talking. Again, I haven't seen Lord of the Long Box's show or their long-term spec for that book, but I think it's not going to be $1,000 book by any means. But could you flip it later on? Yeah, absolutely. But again, there are some other books related to Ironheart and things like that, but we'll touch on that. It's funny that I say that because Hyper's not here, but we'll touch on that tomorrow, because I'll give you a spoiler, but my spec for tomorrow is Ironheart and all that. So,
that's surprising.
West Coast Avengers, but which version? The original team. I think they show up in. I'll find it. And I'll let you know. I can also.
Who was in the original version?
Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye, War Machine.
I don't have any of my notes in front of me.
But
yeah, that's just where I think they're going, because again, reading that run, okay. The Iron Man run is out there. I don't think a lot of people read Iron Man. Obviously, me being that Iron Man guy, I've read some of the storylines. Like the Demon in a Bottle comes to mind, Armor Wars, things like that. You can find these books super cheap. Like anybody that tells you these books are expensive, they're lying to you, because you can find Iron Man books like super cheap. But you start reading that run, and even if you go to, I don't know, that Marvel page where it tells you everything about the book and who's in it and things like that, in that run you have Crimson, Dynamo, you have Stiltman, you have Justin Hammer. We've seen Justin Hammer already. Crimson, that is Tales of Suspense. I believe it's 48 or 46, one of the two. It's already like a $2,000 book. So I don't think people are going to be investing too heavily into that. The other one that I could see people investing money in, but again, it's a villain, is Stiltman. With the tie to Daredevil and things like that. Is it a possibility? Yeah, maybe. I don't see it, and you guys know how I feel about villains. I mean, unless it's like a top A villain, I don't think the money is there for those types of villains. And
Who
face you,
was the villain in the Armor Wars storyline? Crimson Dynamo was he wasn't the
no, but
one
he's
behind
in
it.
it. Like basically, if you guys aren't familiar with the story, Tony Stark's armor and designs get stolen, and then Tony basically goes after anybody and everybody. Um, and then yeah, he's basically told to bring back the armor. There's a part where Nick Fury and Hawkeye come to get him, and like they say they have to, basically give him the armor and things like that. So in each book, and you get a new villain and things like that. So, well, not a new villain, but just those characters. And like I said, we've already seen Justin Hammer. I don't think we'll see Stiltman.
Right.
I don't think they'll do Crimson, to be honest with you, just because that's just a crazy book already. But when you start looking at it, what makes sense? Well, the West Coast Avengers offer to help them. I could totally see them helping James Rhodes, things like that. So,
What occurs to me isn't
What's up?
what's up?
Hyper, what's going on?
Sorry, guys, I'm a bit late. Had to find my charging wire.
No worries, bro. No worries.
Um,
So to continue what we were talking about, isn't Blizzard one of Iron Man's villains for the most part?
Say that again. Sorry.
Blizzard.
Blizzard.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what was your question? What was your original question?
He's one of Iron Man's villains, correct?
I believe so. Blizzard.
So they initially brought in a character in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series that took on the role of Blizzard, character named, he was Donnie Gill, obviously. And they never really resolved his storyline. And Marvel does tend to like to tie things together. So, he's maybe one could potentially show up at some point.
Yeah. Sparks is saying that I'm gonna have to go up a few comments here. West Coast Avengers, but which it was focused on the Secret Wars version. Okay, so Secret Wars I haven't read, so I'll have to read that real quick. But if they're going anything Secret Wars, I mean that's pretty good because I think here's the thing, and before that announcement on Thursday, I feel like everybody just knew what was going to happen and things like that. Everybody was talking X-Men, Fantastic Four, Mutants, Secret Wars, all this. And then Disney comes out, does this, and now everybody's like, oh shit, okay, so we only have to focus on this. You know what I mean? Like everything else, people are selling or not paying attention to. And like I hope people are still paying attention and holding on to some books, because just because it wasn't, announced or they didn't talk about it, like doesn't mean it's not going to be anything, right? Like talk to anybody about Eternals right now, and people will just look at you like you're on planet, you're on Jupiter or something. They're like, no, that's no, don't worry about that. Worry about, what if? Worry about Loki. Worry about this. And it's just like, okay, but this is the time where things go like this on certain books and certain storylines, and you just
the comic book community as a whole seems to have a very bad form of attention deficit disorder. We get distracted very easily by the next shiny thing to come along. So
the thing is, I mean, you also have to keep in mind Disney's not going to show their full hand. Like, they're going to tease you a bit, just give you enough to make you happy. If they basically gave you their whole entire schedule and what's on the table, there's no surprise in it. So I'm sure they have a lot of aces up their sleeves.
Yeah.
Oh, looking back through the comments, Mockingbird was one of the other ones that was one of the original West Coast Avengers. And she would be another good one to add in too, because they could actually tie that back into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. if they bring in I think it was Adrian Palicki that played her.
Yeah. So that's kind of some interesting information for Secret Armor or Armor Wars. Secret Armor.
You're combining the two.
Yeah, I'm combining the two. in accordance with Ironheart, like I said, I'll probably save some of my information for tomorrow when we talk spec, because I was going to be talking about Ironheart / Iron Man tomorrow. So I mean, if you guys want to touch base on some of this stuff, by all means. I just don't want to spoil it, or say the same thing today and tomorrow kind of thing. But when it does come to Ironheart, I mean, whew, man, I appreciate everybody who messaged me in the last 48 hours with questions and concerns about Ironheart and Iron Man book, because, man, my DMs were like going nuts on people just collecting and being like, should I pick this one up? Should I grab this one? Is this the one? And yeah, so glad I could help some of you. Super jealous of some of the shops that these people go to, man. Like, it is crazy, some of the books that are out there. Like,
well, I know you've been hunting for a while, so I hopefully you got the books that you wanted to, because I know between the three of us, you're clearly the biggest Iron Man fan. So,
oh yeah. And
at this point,
You think Newbie likes Iron Man?
I don't know. It's just a hunch I got.
yeah, you know what? But Face knows this too, because I remember asking him. Like even Ironheart, Riri Williams, all that. Like, I was on that way before, and people used to laugh, man. Like, people, even like a month ago, just laugh if you brought up that book.
Wait, they laughed?
Oh no, they're still laughing. They're gonna laugh till the day the series comes out and it's a hit.
I don't get it. Wait, they're laughing because they don't ever foresee her coming to the MCU? Like, this is before the news, I mean?
So sometimes people would ask me, they would message me like, hey, what do you think is something I should pick up, right? And sometimes I entertain it and I say, like, this is what I'm thinking. This is where I'm kind of putting money. This is kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. And I always brought up that Ironheart 1. One, because it is a number 1. It's a solo series, things like that. So I thought, you know what? If Riri Williams hits, that could be something. Obviously, there's different books, and I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but there's different books in that run that are more important than number 1. But when you would bring up that number 1 issue, people just laughed at you because they were like, no, Ironheart's not going to be a thing. That's not going to do anything. That's not going to be much, blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden, it went from maybe Wednesday evening, people laughing at you, to Thursday, everybody collecting it. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
You're talking about the first, the issue where she's actually called Ironheart for the first time on the cover?
On the cover.
Yeah.
On the cover, yes.
Okay.
So that but again, I don't want to talk too much because I want to save it for tomorrow.
All right.
But yeah. So up next we have Loki. I think
Loki was a really interesting trailer.
Yeah.
It's funny that you could watch a full trailer and still have no fucking idea what that show is going to be about.
It was very open-ended in terms of interpretation. I mean, one of the clearest things is we know that the Time Variance Authority is going to be a big part of that series, so that's pretty obvious. But other than that,
yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Yeah, I think the time stuff is going to have a lot to do with not just the Loki one, but just everything in general. I mean, again, you go to before last Thursday, what was the hot topic? Kristen Dunst, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, they're coming back to Spider-Man. I think the rumor there was, oh, shoot, this is going to open the door for multiverse, live action, Miles, this, that. But what I saw was it just opens up the door for everything and anything to be possible. So, yeah, that Loki one just kind of had that vibe to it. The only thing that I'm kind of interested in is, because I'm guessing you guys just didn't watch it once. There was probably parts where you stopped it, paused it. Like, I know sometimes when there's like a big group of people in one shot, I like to just pause it to see like, okay, who's there kind of thing. But I think the one scene that I think a lot of people were surprised was that Black Widow, right?
Oh, really? I thought you were going to say when Owen Wilson showed up.
No, that was I don't know. Like it surprised me they have Owen Wilson. Like, he's still acting, yeah.
But clearly he's not taking on a comedic role in this case.
Well,
yeah, he definitely has a very different role than we've seen him in pretty much anything he's played, really.
Yeah, it's Kid Loki. Yeah, I know a few people that were talking about Kid Loki a few months back. So yeah.
And also the female Loki as well.
Yeah. But yeah, the other stuff that went kind of crazy with the Loki stuff, in terms of books, is those variants with the vote Loki variants and all that. That just skyrocketed. Like people were going nuts for that book.
Wait, is it the one that just in his that recent run that just came last year? I think.
I believe so. It's very, very newish.
Okay.
Newish, you know, that could be like
Yeah, I think it came after the War of the Realms miniseries, right? That Loki run.
Yeah. But man, like that one was going, I think by the time the trailer dropped, I forget who sent it to me, so I apologize. You guys know that I always give credit where credit's due. I'm not taking this as my credit. I mean, it's whatever. But there were some people messaging me like eBay sales and things like that of the book, what the book was going for in shops or what they picked it up. Like it was crazy. And again, I don't really know what you can do with that, because what are you supposed to do with that? The variant of the vote Loki, like what?
I mean, it's almost, I guess, it's similar to, I guess, remember what that Avengers cover where Iron Man was holding the gauntlet? You know.
Yeah.
It's very much like
it's a cover.
Yes, it's more like a cover by than anything else, really. It's not so much the content of what's in the book.
Yeah, and that's, dude, I love the fact that you bring that book up, because that's a book like I'm still trying to find in like a 9.8, 9.6. And people are like, why, man? It's like dead spec. Like I have so many people telling me, like, anytime I ask them if they have a book, they're like, oh man, that's dead spec. Don't worry about it. I'm like,
but I think you should, I mean, had you tried finding it right after Endgame, obviously you would have been paying a lot more. But I think that those prices on that have cooled down, if I'm not mistaken.
ish. I mean, I don't think there's anything in the future that they can do with that. I mean, if you're an Iron Man guy, right? Or if you like the storyline, or if you were obsessed with that part in the movie, I mean, I could see you buying it, but I don't understand some of these people like holding it to hoard or any, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they're going to revisit it. The importance of that book is the fact that it's Iron Man the first time he wears the gauntlet.
Yeah, and it's pretty much confined to that movie Endgame. It's not like there's a future spec on that particular book. And then most people that grabbed it mainly, look, I grabbed it because I was on a high after watching Endgame, and I was like, okay, shoot, I need to get that cover just because that moment, like, you know, was pretty iconic in the movie. So that's my reason. I'm not planning on flipping it or anything because I really don't see much.
I don't think you can, though. I mean, I should.
You can, but I mean, it's just not on my radar.
Most people, it's just a PC buy. You know,
exactly.
You want to add it to your collection.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Wolf saying Kid Loki is coming. Do we have any? I was gonna say any witness to this or any evidence, but like, you know, like did you guys see anything in the trailer that says that's coming, or are you guys just reading it? Like, is that, you know, just a hunch? Like, what do you guys feel about that?
I think maybe it's just the whole time traveling, you know, aspect of it. Maybe that's where the only thing that I could, you know, hang my hat on into thinking that, you know, there's like a kid Loki or for that matter, like a female Loki that's on the way.
I know there's been spec on them potentially showing up, and with what seems like the main premise of the series is involving the time travel and, you know, different realities and everything like that. You know, it's very possible you could see them show up. How much of a role they'll play in the show, who knows?
Yeah, I saw that a few people were posting pictures of the first appearance of TVA as well.
Yeah, that was in it was in Walter Simonson Thor run, but I can't remember which issue. But
I think isn't it Thor like 442 or 440?
It's in the 400s. That much I know, but that's not a very specific answer.
Yeah, those numbers come to mind. A few people were, again, but what did the first appearance of Shield, like, does it still hold value? Like, is it still like a book that's like crazy?
I mean, I imagine it's pretty valuable. So,
what's that face?
I imagine that's already pretty valuable. So
Yeah, you think? But do you think it has kind of the same? Do you think that that one might have the same power in sense of getting that dollar value up?
You're saying that if
Like the
yeah, I think you'll see like you'll see the price go up probably on the first appearance of the TVA and some of the first appearances of the major players in that group. I don't think you're gonna see it reach the same level like of Shield or
no,
first appearance of Nick Fury or anything like that. But
no.
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. Hawaiian Punch has got some information. He's super knowledgeable, super ahead of the game sometimes as well with some of the books he's got. But he's saying Thor 617, first appearance of Kid Loki, and the variant of Tron. Okay, shoot. So we were wrong. And what's up, 90? So I guess it's Thor 372.
What, the first appearance of TVA?
I'm assuming. Yeah. Again, before that trailer, I mean, I'm assuming that book was like max what, maybe $5, $10. Now it's
it probably wasn't much at all.
Yeah, it was like
probably reaching, what, $50, somewhere around there, 30 to $50.
Yeah, I think at my LCS I saw it a couple of months ago, probably like what, 15, $20 probably at most.
It was probably like super high grade. Okay, so here we go. So 90 with some knowledge here. So Thor 372 is TVA, and 371 is the Peacemaker, who I think Owen Wilson is playing. I don't know if he's playing Peacemaker.
It's funny because Bricks was thinking that Owen Wilson is playing a character named Minuteman.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat. I think Peacemaker is the one that he kind of gets, what's it called, like brought into, because you know how he gets at the end of the elevator at the bottom, it like opens up and it's got that like, you know, guards and stuff like that. I think Peacemaker's there. The only thing that I want to know is like who is that villain or whatever that they're going after?
Oh yeah.
It looks like he just has like a black hoodie or whatever, and then he's just like escaping. Like it doesn't seem like he's superhero or supernatural. I think he's just some guy, right? Or female. You know, I don't want to.
You know who the main character of the show is, right?
Who?
I don't.
It's Loki. Loki is the main character of the Loki show.
Oh yeah. I thought you were. I think you're gonna give us.
You're asking about a villain in a villain show.
No, but I think Loki is gonna be like we're gonna see.
Yeah, he'll probably take on a role of like more anti-hero type.
Yeah. Until like the end of the series, where he might just come back to being like bad or something. I don't know. Because
I mean, there might be something would kind of make sense for them to do is that he ends up having to take on some evil version of himself that's behind everything.
Yeah, and I think one line that a lot of people might, well, I don't know if they're overlooking it. I'd love to get your guys' opinion on it, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on, and I think you guys can tell. I've watched it a few times, but near the end of the trailer where he's on the plane, right? It almost seems like it is the Civil War scene, but it's not. And then he's on the plane and you can see that the plane takes off or whatever. He opens it up because he takes that parachute from that stewardess, gives the wink. And then as he's flying off, he goes, I'll meet you, brother, or something about his brother. So that kind of leads me to think that might be how it ends. Like his series of him going back or getting sucked in, something like that. You know what I mean?
But it's possible, but then we're kind of assuming that the series will end after one season, though.
But they could do like the time back and forth. That's the thing, right? Like, I don't know. Like Loki's dead, right? So I mean,
apparently not.
Well, yeah, apparently not. But in like the MCU, that timeline, he's no longer there. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happens. I mean,
I just thought of something. The MCU is pretty much turning almost like that running joke in comic books where no one actually stays dead.
Yeah, right. Because I've yet to read I don't know if I'm like I don't know like and it could be crazy, it could sound crazy, but you know what? That's what makes it fun when you like spec and you just throw out these theories. But at the end of Endgame, like who's to say they don't bring back Loki? You know what I mean? Like what if like Tony brought him back?
Oh, you mean with the
You
snap?
just don't know. You know what I mean?
As opposed to Black Widow.
Well, I think they said that they couldn't bring her back, right? Because even when Hulk did it, he said he couldn't bring her back.
Right. He said he tried.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think that Tony would give up because somebody else told him that he couldn't do it?
I don't know, man. I'm just saying it's not crazy. It's not out of the realm to think that maybe that scene where he flies out and then he goes back, you know, just things like that. I don't know. I just try to kind of connect some dots, and I think
Yeah.
that scene could be the end of the series, like for season 1, not necessarily the whole series.
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of time. Yeah, exactly. Bricks, you hit it on the spot, man. It looks like a lot of time traveling is going to happen. The other thing that you know we have to keep in mind too is who's a scroll and who's not, right? Because it could be anybody at this point, right? Like, look at Spider-Man. We all thought it was Nick Fury and what's her name was playing their characters the whole movie, and then just to find out at the end that they're scrolls. So
True,
wait.
but the other thing though was that scroll was sort of working with them, so it doesn't really. I mean,
Are you talking about Talos?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting take, I think, on Secret Invasion and how that works with what they've shown of the scrolls so far in the MCU.
And are they actually going to follow the source? I have a feeling they're going to deviate
Right.
quite a bit from the actual 8-issue graphic. Is it 8 or 7 issue? Well, one of
Yeah, whatever run that was, however many issues it was.
That one's heating up. That number 1 is heating up like crazy, man. And
Of course it is. There was a television announcement.
I know, but like, just crazy how people rush to these things, man. Like, Wednesday night, you probably could have picked that book up for what it was going for the last year at like
And the thing is,
$50.
and this is, I mean, I get it for new collectors. Probably it's something that like they'll run for. I mean, but I would think that people that have been in the game for a while, like you would kind of know, like not to catch these things when they're on the high, because you know how low these issues can go for. So I don't know. I mean,
I mean, and realistically, in probably between like 3 to 6 months, you're going to see the prices of all the books that we're probably talking about now drop back down again some, as everybody's awaiting, future announcements, trailers, casting calls, everything else. And these gaps where there's no information, after these books fall out of the attention for a little bit, they're going to start to go back down a little bit, and you'll have to grab them then. And then, obviously, as you get more announcements, you're going to see those prices continue to creep up.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know a book that I was surprised that didn't really have a big jump when the whole Secret Wars thing was, I think it's Fantastic Four number 18, the original series, and that is the first appearance of Super Skrull. I think it's 18.
Of the original. Well, the thing is, I mean, those books already
Fantastic
were.
Four 18 got a pretty good price point on it.
Well, you can get a low. So I was looking, and you can get a 3.0, I think, for like 240, 280, somewhere around there.
I mean, $200 on a 3.0 is still a pretty big price point for most people. Because
it's original early Fantastic Four too. Like I don't know. I just expected that book to just jump. To be honest with you guys, I expected it to jump once that was announced. But again, when people, everyone has different financials.
movie is a fucking scroll.
That's like the book, right? When you think of like scrolls and stuff like that. But
well, also, Marvel cast a big nut in terms of MCU news last week, so it's like there's a lot of information for people to digest. So it's almost like certain things that end up falling the wayside. Like, I think a lot of priority was given to like Riri and Miss Marvel and like some of those other bigger characters. And like I feel like some of the other characters like Skrulls and all that, although people are specking on them, but they're not specking on them as hard as like some of the other characters that have been more up in the spotlight.
Yeah, it's true. I think for the most part, it's all Riri Williams. That's the big one that people are talking about. Because again, with the other announcements, you look at. I mean, we're going to touch base on all of them, so maybe we can move on from Loki. But you look at, say, some of the series that don't have enough, right? So Secret Invasion, they obviously just put up an image of it. Fantastic Four, same thing. Fantastic Four, I think, is like that is going to be huge because I don't think that they're going to strike out. I don't think they're going to go 0-3 with this. I think they're going to hit the ball with this.
Well, also because I think they realize the reception the other two franchises got, and they don't want history to repeat itself. So they know that fans are going to be closely watching. Like,
well, it just sucks because like with Fantastic Four, it's a tough series, and the previous iterations, there were things that the Fantastic Four movies, the earlier ones, did do right. Michael Chiklis as the Thing was a fan favorite, casting call. Like that was I believe I remember Wizard magazine back in the day fan casting Fantastic Four, and Michael Chiklis was the actor that the fans chose, that they thought would portray him the best. And there's just so much that goes into a team like the Fantastic Four that it's hard to get everything right. We got a pretty good Thing with Michael Chiklis playing him, but the Reed Richards that we got was cheesy as hell.
You're talking about from the Fox
didn't fit Reed Richards' character at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm hopeful Fantastic Four, but I don't want to hold my breath on it either.
Well, also,
I really hope they do get it right, though.
But the thing is, one thing that's working against the Fantastic Four, unlike other franchises, like with the Avengers, they had a chance to spotlight each of the Avengers in their own solo movies before building up to the Avengers. Whereas Fantastic Four, you don't really have that luxury. You pretty much have to start from the jump with all four characters. So it's almost like it's a tricky balance where you're going to have to play character development for all these four characters that you're introducing for the first time with these new casts. So it's a bit more like the director really would have to be on the ball in terms of making sure that each of those characters gets enough playtime.
I actually hope that when they do the Fantastic Four movie, at least for the first one, they don't do Doom as the big bad of the first movie.
I don't think they'll do Doom as a one and done or the big bad. I think it's going to be, and again, I hate saying this because I feel like this is going to be something that follows Marvel now, because I think that they found something special with how they did Thanos. But I think Doctor Doom, you kind of have to do like you did with Thanos. You know what I mean? Like you have.
Yeah, I would like to see him have an arc in the Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to see him beat and destroyed at the end of the first time we see him, because like Bricks is saying, and like I know a lot of people are saying, if they mess it up one more time, what are you gonna do? How many chances are you gonna have? Like you're basically gonna shatter the franchise. I mean, I think a lot of us were pumped when you had Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, he was coming up, but like Michael B. Jordan, the guy that played Reed Richards, they were up and coming actors, so everybody thought, okay, we got good actors, this is going to be something. Again, 0-2, right? So I don't know.
Well, they did a lot of things in that movie that just really didn't make a whole lot of sense, and it sounds like there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that didn't pan out for them.
Yeah, like they all hated each other or something. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, but I'm glad to see that they're at least gonna try. You know what I mean? Like, at least we know that it's coming. We have 100% confirmation now. It's not, like before Thursday, it was like 80-20. Now it's, 100. That Fantastic Four stuff, just like Avengers, big runs, a lot of characters. It opens up so many possibilities in the sense of, what kind of villains we might see on the big screen, as well as what we do as collectors and investors in that run for first appearances.
And a lot of people are also talking about Doom, but let's not forget, Namor could also be another villain that might be introduced through Fantastic Four as well.
Especially now with Black Panther, yeah.
I mean, he had that bit of like that, somewhat of like a love triangle or something going on with the Invisible Girl. Yeah. So
okay, was that true, or was that just him like being obsessed with her? I feel like in anything that I've ever read about him, like he just kidnaps her and he's obsessed with her, but like she's not into it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same.
Certain times,
What's that?
In certain times they've gotten together. In certain timelines they've gotten together. So
oh shit, okay.
Like there's been potential for, that tense love triangle type thing.
Yeah, and you kind of get from certain dialogues that she does feel a bit enamored around him. I mean, not that she's going to act on it, but almost like his charisma does kind of like, it's like, I don't know, the dialogue doesn't make it seem like, she's completely with Reed Richards. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, which is really weird because they write him like almost 100% of the time as a complete asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget, that's one of Kevin Feige's favorites, so he's going to make sure they do it right. Yes. Edwin as well. Namor isn't a threat to the Fantastic Four. No, you're right. However, he could show up, just like Hyper said, as maybe like
I like a Nihilus. A Nihilus I think could be a good villain for the first movie, just because you can sort of treat him both ways. Like he can be both a one and done villain and someone that still ends up being a more consistent player, because like you could bring him in for his initial movie as the bad guy of the first movie and essentially kill him off, knowing that somehow, some way, Annihilus is gonna fucking come back because he's like a fucking cockroach. They always do, and he has consistently always come back in the comics either way. So I mean,
Annihilus,
he works as one of those villains that you can just sort of kill off every time and still have him come back.
Yeah, I think Annihilus would be a good one to start, because if you look at say the villains of Fantastic Four. I mean, obviously you have Doctor Doom. We're all, I think, in agreement with he's going to be kind of like a Thanos thing. I don't think he's going to be one and done. Then you look at, the Skrulls. They're still around, but I just don't think that Fantastic Four is going to show up, beat them, and then that's it. Then you got Molecule Man. You got the Nihilist. I think he shows up. However, I'm more on the side that if a Nihilist does show up, it opens the door for Secret Wars. Right? I think I've been pretty vocal about that. I think that's going to happen.
Secret Wars definitely has some future potential down the road, because it's only a matter of time before the MCU will become two-packed and need some sort of a reboot, and that's one of the keys to doing it.
Yeah,
and we know that people will accept it because it's already been established.
Yeah, and in terms with like Kang, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, what about Kang? Rama-Tut, like they're the same person. Well, he's rumored to show up in Ant-Man. However, again, right? Like, I don't think Ant-Man is going to be. I don't think Ant-Man's the one that's going to beat Kang, and then that's it. That's
I think he's just going to show up, but more like as an introduction.
More like a Thanos type, yeah.
I don't think Ant-Man
player. Hopefully,
when you do more, not research, because like I don't want to offend anybody, but when you start kind of connecting the dots on some things, right? Look at the name for that Ant-Man movie. And then
Quantumania.
Yeah, and then you put into consideration like that Kang is going to show up. So what do they have in common? Time travelers, quantum realm, things like that. I think it makes sense. But again, I don't know what villain they're going to have in that movie. Like it's hard for me. Like, and I've heard the rumor that someone's like, oh, well, Yellow Jacket will come back.
It's possible. I mean, given that they're bringing in Kang, time travel.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not like that version of Yellow Jacket was a very popular character to begin with among the fans. Like certain characters, like fans, I could see them clamoring to have him back on screen, but I don't see anyone petitioning for another Yellow Jacket return.
You can still find that book, and you can usually tell by the book sales and like what the book's going for. I mean, you could still find that book for like $20, I think, maybe less. You know, so yeah, I'm interested to see. I think that Ant-Man one. I think that one is. Do I want to go on a limb and say it's going to be very important? I don't know because he is. If you think about it, he's the one that went back in the quantum world. He's the one that kind of got Tony to build it. He's the one that thought of the idea, things like that. So could they put important things in that movie for the future? 100%. I just don't know if it's going to be him versus Kang for the whole thing. I think Kang shows up at the end and is like, hey, I'm here. And then, something else happens. But the main villain that he fights in that, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't even pretend like I'm that into Ant-Man where I know his rogues gallery.
Do you think
anybody?
Do you think that maybe Wasp and him fight
each other? You mean?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
What, you're thinking that Wasp is gonna turn rogue, or that?
Or something, maybe she gets jealous of the fact that her father's always with. I don't know. It's just a theory, just something that could happen. I guess I don't know.
They're gonna definitely avoid that. Because one of the things that they're absolutely steering clear of in Ant-Man is Hank Pym and all of his failings, frailties, and whatever else that has happened to him through the course of his history in comics. And I think that would probably touch a little too close to home as to how Hank Pym has been portrayed in the comics, which the MCU really seems to want to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna have Ant-Man and Wasp fight. At least not for like an extended movie or anything like that. There may be some kind of a scene in there where they have to fucking she might have to knock some sense into him or something like that. But to have like an actual fight between the two and base the movie around that, I don't think that's what you're gonna see at all.
Well, unless you see the return of Ghost, maybe.
Okay. Hyper. So. Okay.
Potentially.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I actually think that is also a possibility. And I kind of have, so even before this announcement, I was kind of seeing people put up that first appearance more for sale, and a lot of people like bulking it up. Like I've got some guys messaging me, and ladies, I don't want to be, what's the term, like against gender. I know there's some ladies in the community too. But I do have mostly guys that message me this of them kind of picking this book up. It's Iron Man 219, the first appearance of Ghost. So I don't know.
It's that white cover, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that white cover. So I don't know if that's got something to do with it. But I have noticed that a few people have been picking it up more, have been ordering it. A lot of people are, who have found it raw or getting it graded. So I don't know. Like I started looking into the community and like eBay and this and that, and then I'm like, okay, so, is there information that I don't know? Is there information that is not being put out there? So
I'm going to go with Vancouver Comic Junkie on Ghost. I do think that you'll see Ghost coming back, but I don't think that they're going to portray her as a villain. I do like what Universe X said in that he's thinking the city inside the quantum realm is where Kang is. That actually almost kind of makes me buy Kang as the villain of an Ant-Man movie because, if he would be in the city where, in the quantum realm, that would make some sort of sense because, I mean, Janet just got out of the quantum realm, after having been there for however long. Yeah. And immediately the whole situation was Endgame and all that shit. Now that that's done with and, things have settled down, she's going to have time to talk about like what she went through being stuck inside the quantum realm and maybe tells, them that, hey, I was stuck in there and this city is, run by a tyrant in Kang. And Ant-Man sort of, that's kind of like they go back in to try and help. And that's what draws the attention of Kang out of the quantum realm, to set up future stuff fighting against the Avengers. Yeah.
And the other thing that they could maybe do too with that is And again, I hope that they don't just take every villain and make him or them into that Thanos thing, right? Where, it's going to probably last like 3, 4, 5 movies. But outside of that Thanos, like, we have never seen those characters like lose. You know what I mean? Like, like they've always come out on top. Yeah, they have their, the climax, all that stuff. But we've never actually seen a movie end where they've lost. So it'd be interesting to see if something.
You are watching Disney movies, so I mean.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it would just be it wouldn't be a surprise if in that Ant-Man one, Kang beats them or something, and then we end it like that. You know what I mean?
See, the thing is, it works for a movie like Avengers because I don't think you could follow that same formula for every Marvel movie. Just because Avengers, it's almost like it had that epicness to it. I don't think Ant-Man is there yet. It's almost like Ant-Man is one of those movies that, how can I put it? It's almost like the kiddie, like family-friendly version of the MCU. So it's almost like those are the kind of movies where you want to leave the theater happy. You know what I mean? I can't really see people going to an Ant-Man movie being all depressed after.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Ghost might be on the Thunderbolts. Hulk 449? I think that is. That's a book that's like not skyrocketed, but it's always up.
And that was cheap. That was pretty cheap for the longest time.
Yeah, I passed it up at like $30-$40, like multiple times. Bricks is saying they could introduce the Micronauts.
Can they?
I've heard a lot of people talking about that. But a lot of people don't want to talk about Micronauts. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, man, Micronauts had some popularity back in the day. Like, they were a thing for a second.
Oh, 100. Yeah. Well, I don't know too much about them, but I do know that you can find that book extremely /affordable.
Yeah, because yeah, like you said, no one's really talking about Micronauts, so it's one of those books that you should not have a hard time finding at a reasonable price.
Secret Wars will be like Infinity War. Absolutely, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and that's an event you definitely would want to build up to, for sure.
Well, Secret Wars will be a little bit off because you're going to see probably Miles come into play in some form before Secret Wars.
Yeah.
JJ, I remember saying, I think somebody asked me like my top 10 characters, and I was on a show. And I remember I said like Ant-Man was in there, and people laughed at me. They thought I was like crazy.
I gotta say, people laugh at you a lot with all these stories that you keep saying.
Yeah, they laughed at me for Ironheart, they laughed at me for Ant-Man. Like, I don't know.
You're like the resident comedian or something in the spec game.
No, I don't. I'm not that funny. Let's see here, but maybe that's a good angle to make it darker, Ant-Man 3, so it takes the audience off guard. Anything is possible. The other thing is that Sparks was saying is Disney doesn't have the rights to Micronauts right now. Owned by Paramount.
Yeah, I thought that's why I said can they? I wasn't sure if they were owned by Marvel. I thought they were a license.
Hasbro putting together a G.I. Joe Transformer mass Micronauts universe right now, apparently. And yeah,
in the Power Rangers, I believe they're adding the Power Rangers in there too.
Yeah. So we've talked Ant-Man, Secret Wars, Fantastic Four, Armor Wars, Loki. Let's talk What If. I think that one was a super popular among a lot of people. Mainly, a big takeaway from that is T'Challa being in that storyline of what if he was taken instead of Peter Quill. So you do have that opening credit, I guess, in the trailer where he kind of hits his mask and then it's T'Challa. I was like, oh, when I saw that, I was kind of like, oh, that's pretty dope. This does look like it's the end for T'Challa as we know it. In anything.
Well, they're not recasting for Black Panther 2.
No, right? So this could be the last time we do see the character. Obviously not as Black Panther, but I think that's going to be pretty dope. I don't think there's a problem with What If, but there's a lot of people out there, and I'm not against it or for it, whatever. But a lot of people are specking or picking up these what ifs, I just don't think they hold that much value.
Well, the thing is, the what ifs are a good read, first of all. I mean, and the thing is, there's a lot of good what if one shots out there that you could definitely pick up. But you're right, in terms of spec value, it's almost like you're casting a really big net, because that series went through 2 different, or I think 3 different volumes. So you really don't know where they're going to draw those storylines from.
What If is one of Marvel's favorite things to do, and over the course of their history, they've done it in several different scales. People don't necessarily look at it the same way, but there's been some really big hits to come out of different Marvel what if type things. When you look at like characters like Spider-Gwen, essentially, you know, it's not a what if, but it's an alternate reality, which is essentially the core of what the what if series is. It's a testing ground for, you know, different characters, different spins on characters and stuff like that. And Marvel likes to do that because sometimes they get those hits like Spider-Gwen and Miles, you know, again, another alternate reality character who they eventually spun into the main universe.
Yeah. I think in the trailer you see the 2 that stand out is, you know, the Chala one being taken for Guardians, and then you see Peggy Carter being Captain America. That is what, Exiles 3?
I believe so, yeah.
Right?
Oh.
You know, that's just kind of where I was going with, like, putting your money in something like that. I mean, you know, you kind of see it in the chat universe, and JJ, you know, they're talking like every episode is going to be different. It's just a one and done. It's a what if story. They're going to give you the best story, but it's just going to be one and done. So I don't think that like those books hold any value unless you like the storyline. Now, where it changes is on 2 accounts. Me personally, I think it changes on What If 1, which is Spider-Man. What if Spider-Man was on Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Here's why I think that one is different from the other ones. That one I think is different because we're going to see Fantastic Four. We're going to see Spider-Man down the road. It's not crazy to think that they might team up for a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that one has some legs under it. The other one obviously is one that people have been talking about for, I don't know, a year, maybe a year and a half. It's that number 10, the Jane Foster Thor, because we know that she's going to be the next Thor, right? So that's where those 2 kind of stand out being different to me. I don't know.
But the thing is, that James Foster what if is no longer really a what if anymore. It's actually...
It's a true, yeah.
Yeah. So that one I'd probably take off the table in terms of the what if series, because that's already factored into Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I really like you mentioned before. It's just one of those series like I wouldn't know where to put my money on.
Yeah.
And I'm just...
I think the thing with What If, it was actually one of my favorite series that they had talked about and announced, and it was because it's a weird sort of spec. Like, I don't necessarily think that it's going to draw a whole lot of spec to any particular books that exist now.
No.
But I do think that through the first season, maybe the first 2 seasons, you'll see maybe they adapt some of the what if stories that are out there. But I think eventually you're going to see some original what if stories made for this animated series. And I think that's where your possible spec comes into play, because if they do hit on a character like a Spider-Gwen or a Miles that people absolutely love, you know, then maybe it's time to start keeping an eye out for where or when they'll show up in the comics.
Yeah. But I think
it's almost like a reverse type of spec.
Yeah, but I think spending like $40 right now, $50 on Exiles 3.
Yeah, that's a bit much, especially it's a modern. It's not exactly.
Yeah, I personally just think, again, collect however you want. If anyone in the chat is after that book, I just personally think that's a waste, because once that's over, once the show is, you know, in Disney, it seems like they have it done, because even before COVID, there was that rumor that it was coming out. So
Marvel Zombies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they already have it set, right? So here's the thing. if you really want that book, and like, I would advise you not to spend $40-$50 because I don't think that book after the shows come out is going to be higher than that. I think it's just going to go down in price. So
Yeah, I mean, for $40, put it on another more sound investment like Daredevil 25.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
No,
How
I was kidding.
many
I was kidding, by
copies
the way.
has Hyper got?
They're saying I will wait for the sequel.
But okay, but keep in mind with these What If series though, we do know that Marvel did mention that a lot of the actors that played the roles in the MCU are returning to reprise their characters. So that tells me that you're not going to get a lot of these What If storylines where there's going to be original or characters that haven't been introduced yet. Like there's like a couple of ones where it's like,
initially.
not initially, but you're not going to get character like a storyline where like what if Conan the Barbarian versus Wolverine. I don't think you're going to see something like that in the What Ifs. It's going to be, I think it's going to still play more or less with the characters that are already in the MCU sandbox, at least for that time, for the first season, I would think.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm just going to be, honest with you. Like I will watch it.
Of course, yeah.
It's not like, I'm not gonna rush home when the episode comes and like I gotta watch, like, because again, it's, I don't know.
Well, they're not exactly in canon. Exactly, they're not. Yeah. These stories aren't canon, so it's more like these are just stuff that you would just watch, just as a one-off, and that's it.
Yeah. So it will be interesting.
It looks interesting. I hope that they can pull off something nearly as good as like Into the Spider-Verse, so that maybe Marvel can show some promise in the animated stuff. I mean, DC's really had they've had the market on the animated stuff for quite a while, so it'd be nice to see Marvel do some good stuff.
I remember before COVID, the announcement was that they were going to come out with it, and I think the first episode was going to be Nick Fury, something about Nick Fury. So I think they might stick to the script and do that one. But who knows, right? Again, they could do every episode whenever they want because it doesn't have any tie-in to what's going on in the MCU or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, something that does have a tie-in is WandaVision. WandaVision, they came out and said, when it first was announced, you got to pay attention to this because it's going to lead into Doctor Strange, and it's going to lead into, some of the things that you might see afterwards. This trailer is the only one that I haven't watched. I haven't watched it yet. So you guys might have to give me some more information on it. But
the funny thing is that's the only trailer I didn't watch either.
Oh, shoot.
I watched Falcon and I watched Loki, and I actually didn't see the second trailer for WandaVision.
Face, did you see the WandaVision one?
I actually did, and it didn't. I mean, it really didn't strike me as anything too different than the one that we had seen before.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm sure there's new stuff in there and whatnot. And when you break it down and analyze every frame and whatnot, there's a lot to be found. But as far as tone and everything, it just didn't seem like it was anything new from the first thing. It looks like it's going to explore, Wanda's psyche after everything, and what's going on as to whether it's real, is Vision actually back, stuff like that.
So you guys, where I sit with that, I think it's all a dream.
I really hope that's not the case. I know you mentioned that, but I really hope that we're not going to be invested in a season where we're just playing into someone's dream. It's almost like, okay, one episode, I get it, but like, don't give me the whole season where the finale is that the person's going to wake up.
But if they're trapped in the Mind Stone, then...
yeah, it does look like it's pretty good. Like it's going to be a lasting arc.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily know that it's a dream per se, but whatever is going on with them does seem like it's going to take more than one episode to figure out.
It seems like JJ's saying some stuff here. So WandaVision was great. They are trapped in the Mind Stone. Huge reveal. WandaVision, they are trapped in the Mind Stone. And then Brix is saying, so I don't know. I'm going to watch it after.
I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah,
because it's probably only a matter of time before they bring the stones back. So
with this one, I'm going to be paying close attention. Honestly, I didn't know they, like, I know that they announced something for it, but I didn't know that they announced a trailer. Also, I came home that day super late and just watched the trailers and then fell asleep, so I forgot about this one. With that whole, them saying, hey, you kind of have to watch this one. This one's going to have tie-ins. There was somebody who posted on Instagram today. There's like a scene where I guess Wanda's got like a magazine or something, and they kind of like circled it. And I think it was the name. Man, I'm gonna butcher this one. I'm gonna butcher it. So Hyper, get ready.
All right.
Mephisto.
Yeah, you got it.
Mephisto. Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
That was close.
Yeah, they had said that there was like a hint or an Easter egg about that. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch the trailer, so I got to go back and watch it.
It's funny because I mentioned Mephisto as a spec play a few weeks ago.
It's not a bad spec. What book is that again? It's Strange.
It's, no, Silver Surfer. Shoot, it's one of the early Silver. I think it's number 5. I'll look it up. But it's one of the early Silver Surfer issues from the first volume.
Oh, you know what? I think it's 4. 4 or 3. No, 2 or 4. I hear WandaVision is part of a 3-part story, with Spider-Man 3 being 2-part and Doctor Strange 2 being part 3.
It's 3. Silver Surfer 3. Yeah.
What's that going for right now?
You're paying about a few grand for a high grade. Mid grade would probably be around like 500 or so US. I'm saying 500-600 US. But again, it's a square bound. Totally. But it's a square bound book, right? So just like your Annihilus first appearance, those are kind of tough to get in a high grade.
I got a 5.5.
Yeah, that's decent.
Like I said, it's tough to get in a high grade.
But again,
that's a high grade in that book, man.
But it also depends how much you paid for it. That's the other question, right? I mean,
I got it for a good deal.
Okay.
I got it for a really good deal, which I was like, I kind of did the, are you sure? And then I had to examine it to make sure that, I always have this fear that it's like fake or something. I'm like, no, there's no way. This is fake.
Yeah, especially when you're buying a raw book from.
Wait, it's graded, right? It's 5.5. He says. So what? Did you check the registry?
Yeah, everything cleared up. But that's just my mindset when I get a deal on something graded. I'm like, oh man, this is probably.
I mean, that's commitment to faking a book.
Yeah, I've always wanted this book. This is one of those books I've always wanted. I believe in.
Why would they fake? Wait, why? Wait, hold on. So wait. Why would somebody fake a 5.5? I'm sure there are higher grades on the fucking registry than a 5.5 that they would fake.
No, just for the price that I got it, I was like, "Are you sure?" I don't know. I don't ripping anybody off. I like to be fair. You
thought it was like a Hong Kong.
Oh, whoever you got it from is not watching this show because they're offended as fuck right now.
Newbie thinks there's like a Chinese CGC slab knockoff in the market.
Oh, I'll tell you right now, if I try to keep, and it's nothing against it, but just, with where counterfeit is in anything and everything in the world, I just buy from Canada or US. I just
called out 2 countries right now, so I'm probably going to be crapped on by any Asian people in this chat right now. My bad.
No, it's
you guys are politically incorrect as well.
Newbie's tiptoeing around just making sure he's not doing sexist comments where I'm just shouting out different countries out.
We're gonna get banned in 6 countries or something after this, man. Yeah, but no, Fantastic Four, that
Way to
Annihilus,
broaden the viewer base.
that has always been something that I've always wanted, and I was super pumped when I got it at a good price for sure. Just like anybody, right? When you look for a book that you've always wanted.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, there's not a better feeling when you know how much everyone else is paying for a book, and you know that you kind of got a steal on it.
Exactly. And here's the issue with that book, right? It's similar to Fantastic Four 67. It's just books that you don't really see them. How do I rephrase this? Where most people are buying it is 5 and under, 5.0 and under. 5.0 and higher, you're talking about $1,000 book, right? Is there a Fantastic Four annual 6 in higher grades? Absolutely, but I'm not paying almost $2,000. I just it's
no, for sure. I mean, you gotta spend according to your according to your comfort level, obviously, because look, even for me, I mean, certain Grail books, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around spending even over $1,000 for certain books, let alone 3, 4. So it's almost like you kind of have to play within your wheelhouse to see what you're comfortable spending on. I mean, yeah.
It's just one of it's one of those books. And again, this book, even if it comes to fruition, I mean, you got a nihilist, you got Franklin Richards in there at a 5.5. It's an easy, if I ever do decide to sell it, kind of thing. You're making money on it.
And the thing is, it's not a book that you're gonna see like it's not like what people call like the flavor of the month kind of book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
Which you see a lot, obviously, with these modern books and all that. But books like what you bought, they've stood the test of time, so it'll still retain that value. So it's almost like you don't have to, sleep, thinking that, oh shoot, is my book gonna suddenly drop by 50%?
The only issue with that book, and I know it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, is if for whatever reason, right? Because in the note, like in the description for CGC, it doesn't say anything about it being the first appearance of Franklin Richards. It just says the birth, right? So down the road, that could open up the possibility where that book doesn't hold its value because of something else, right? Like they find what, like this character actually, this is because with Franklin, it's opened up because this is the birth, but then you have like the first appearance of him as a baby, then you have the first appearance as like an adult, and then
I'm pretty sure the birth is the first appearance of him.
Yeah, because the thing is, the market itself, like when I see people listing that book, I think the market by and large acknowledged that as his first appearance. So it's almost like it's the majority.
The market usually doesn't like babies as first appearances, but I think that's one of the exceptions.
Right?
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
That's the thing. Because Face, what was that other book? There was another book where they kind of showed the character in like the womb or something.
I think like Baby Cable is not
Baby Cable.
Sister. I think
that's one that like, he's not as valuable as like Cable first appearance, stuff like that.
But I also think that has to do with print run too, right? Like that X-Men run. Like you could find that. I think I could say maybe 7 out of 10 times I go looking in an X-Men file, I can find that book.
But same could be said with New Mutants though, when Cable's actual first appearance.
Yeah, New Mutants.
A little more pricey though.
Yeah, for sure.
So we talked Loki. What if? Am I missing anything? So going back to WandaVision. I mean,
well, I mean, WandaVision. I guess. I mean, this book is still, I find, undervalued, even though it is going up in price. It's that Tom King Vision series.
Yeah.
The 12 issue. I would pick up at least issue number 1, which has the first appearance of Viv Vision and a couple of his relatives, I think, in that issue. But I think it's going for like $30-$40 right now.
I can't participate in Tom King right now.
What's that?
I said I can't participate in talking about anything Tom King right now. After Batman, Catwoman, I just can't. Can't do it.
What was the there was and I think Hyper, I think you actually messaged me when we first actually started talking earlier in the summer. But there was that one Vision book. I think it's like Vision, the 2 kids, and what should be Wanda, but they're all kind of like designed as Vision. They're outside the house or something like that.
I think that's Vision number 1. I think that's the Tom King one. That's Vision 1.
Yeah, that one you can't really find anywhere like in the wild or anything like that. It's funny because in most places that have a Vision section, it usually picks up on 2 or 3. You don't see that book at all. And even
you've been in a comic book store with a fucking Vision section?
Yeah. Dude, some of our stores have like everything, man. I'll take a picture one time of this one shop. They have like anything and everything. And even if the section is like this tiny, they still have like a, Vision, or I'm trying to think
of
easy.
Yeah, because my Vision books are all just in the V section, not in the Vision.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, exactly. In any comic book store I've been in, they would just drop that shit straight in the V's and call it a day.
In ours, they got a few, man. Like they just have, I don't know. They just have it. There's 2 or 3 shops. There was a new shop I went to today. It was like massive. It was quiet, but it was massive. And they just the guy was just very organized. Like he could tell you where a book is. Like I asked him about a certain, he's like, yeah, it's over here in this section. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, whoa.
Well, the thing is, I think number one is pretty much in most shops. I think it's almost like a wall book at this point, just because of that spec value it currently has right now, with some of those characters possibly appearing in the series. I mean, the thing is,
weren't there reports that they were actually talking to the kid from American Horror Story about taking up his role as Quicksilver again from the X-Men universe? That kid?
Really?
I thought I read an article about that somewhere, that they were interested in potentially bringing him in as Quicksilver as opposed to the original one somehow.
Wait, you're talking about the one that came in Days of Future Past? That's
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I read an article that it may have been just someone putting a theory out there or something like that, but I think it said that there was some basis in it, in that there was rumor of talks with him to, take that role.
I'm not sure. That's the first I'm hearing it.
I know. Just a quick shout out to Comic Food 2814. He hit 2,000 subscribers today, so that's pretty dope.
Nice. Congratulations, man.
Nice. Congrats.
JJ saying, going back to, I guess, some of the baby talk we were talking about, but he said, well, first appearance of Baby Morales just went for 170 at CGC 9.8. X-23 was a test tube. That is correct. That is what? Wolverine 80? Is it 80?
It's a late. Yeah, it's in the first Wolverine.
I don't even remember what it was.
But it's beyond issue 40. That much.
Yeah.
You know.
But didn't Larry Hama come out and say that was not X-23 or something like that? I don't know.
Again, it's whatever.
This is when you can't find that first appearance, and then you're trying to grasp at straws.
Right. I mean, who knows?
Does Canada have a demand for Walmart variants? You know what? Some shops are paying some big dollars to get them. I'm only speaking for myself. Hyper, I don't know what the scene is in Quebec, but are you feeling that Walmart variants are a thing, or people are demanding them?
Well, look, I personally wouldn't mind having a pack or two, just because I see everyone else posting it on their damn feed, including this guy right here, Sparks. He has like 3 Walmart unboxings in his YouTube video, actually. So, they're pretty spoiled on that. Have you picked up any of these Walmart packs?
I picked up some of the earlier ones. I got like the Strange Academy. I think Thor was another one that was in one of them. I picked up those earlier ones, but as they've continued on with it, I've gotten more away from getting them. It seems like there are more and more of them coming out, and I mean, like at least initially we were getting, new covers for these reprints. I mean, because that's basically what they are. Even if they are still, a sort of variant, they're reprints. Like, but now, like, we got Venom 25, and all they did was recolor the logo.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I know people are going.
No, good.
Yeah, people are going crazy just because it went from white to purple. Wow.
Yeah. I don't understand that.
Especially since like nothing from Venom 25 so far has panned out for shit.
No, but the thing is, I think the actual cover A of Venom 25, I believe it's still a $15, $20 book, even though like it's a character that we pretty much have a dead spec on, Virus. I think that book is still a $15 book or $20 book, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely still.
Wait, are you talking about the free comic book day?
No. The one Venom
free
25.
comic book day book still free at most comic book shops, newbie.
Yeah, on eBay, and some people are still buying it.
Graded copies, yeah, sure.
The free comic book
raw one too. There's some raw. There's some lot raws.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But like,
I know my local shops still have stacks of them.
Yeah, I went to a shop today, and actually they gave me 2 for free, and I was like, oh, thanks. So I'm
guessing it's like what, like $1 or so for a book. Anything more than that, I feel you're overpaying.
No, I'll let you know after. I got them all for free today. I went to a shop, And I told Keys this. They actually, obviously, it's got to be a book. Like it can't be like, I don't know how he did it, but he said basically, if this was my first time coming, and I said, yeah, it's my first time coming. And he said his rule is the first time you come, you get a free comic book.
Okay.
And I picked up Firepower. I was like, yeah, I'll take Firepower, whatever, just to add to the collection kind of thing. And then he threw in 2 of those viruses for free. And I was just like, whoa, sweet. So I literally left that shop with 3 free books.
Nice.
Well, it was pretty good.
I have more hope on the Firepower than
Yeah.
than the first.
Just before we continue, Sparks is leaving, but thank you for joining. Come join him at 11:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. They're going to do an FOC show. Our guy Hyper is going to be joining them, so definitely make sure you guys go check him out. He's a solid dude, a lot of information. Comic Food, yes. So it is Wolverine 80. Yeah. But then you have people who will argue and obviously say NYX3. Of course, it's one of those modern.
That is the price, and that is a more pricier book.
Yeah. I don't think we will ever get to the point where Wolverine 80
No.
NYX or NYX book.
No, when you have a gap that big, you're talking about like a $20 book versus like a $2,000 book. I don't think that's too much of a gap to cover.
So I don't know if I've ever opened up to anybody about this, but one of our shops used to have NYX3 at a 9.8. This was back in 2016, I think.
Okay.
And I turned down the opportunity to buy that book for $200.
Ooh, and that was a 9.8. Graded, like it wasn't like him calling it a 9.8. It was an actual.
It was graded, and I think he ended up.
Wow.
I think he actually was selling it for $200 a few weeks after, but it was maybe 2015. I can't remember.
See, this is one of those books that you probably shouldn't look up what it's currently listed at right now, just for your own sanity.
Yeah, you don't want to touch it. Moving on to what was announced at Disney, we have, and you guys might have to pick the slack on, say, information for this. That Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Is that coming out this Christmas?
That's coming out Christmas 2021, I believe.
So is it just going to be a series? Is it going to be a movie?
No. I think it's going to be like one of those. I don't want to compare it to this, but it's almost like that Star Wars Christmas special. It's like a one shot.
So is it going to have any like?
You didn't enjoy the Star Wars Christmas special?
Well, I mean, for the campiness of it, but I'm sure. But then again, I'm not like a diehard Star Wars fan where I live and die by that sword. So for me, it's like I take it as is. I know. I mean, I'm sure.
He's seriously disappointed in you right now.
Who? Oh yes, yeah, I know. He's watching in spirit.
I'm the same way. Obviously, you guys know how I feel about Star Wars. Nothing against it, just nothing that I ever got really behind on. So I'm gonna have to kind of.
Well, the thing is, the Christmas special is being, James Gunn is the one that's leading the Christmas special. So it's not going to be like some like a no-name director that's doing it. It's still the guy that's behind the actual Guardians of the Galaxy movies. That's behind this special.
I think it's actually going to be pretty good.
Yeah. I still have I still think it's going to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be entertaining.
It's popular. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is popular for all ages, so I think that they're kind of nailing, getting all the age groups and things like that. Because I know younger kids are going to go, teenagers, adults, older people. Like it's just going to be one of those things, I think.
Yeah, it's just going to be like a show that's just. I think it's going to be one of those feel good kind of one shot, specials. I don't think.
Yeah, I think right.
What was that face?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that's pretty much what it's going to be. It's sort of like one of those one-shot specials. It's going to be kind of a one and done type thing.
One and done.
Not so much of any ramifications. I don't think you're going to be expecting.
Right. It's just going to be a fun little, special movie, whatever they're going to be doing.
And this almost kind of touches on an even bigger point. Not everything that Marvel announces has to be spec worthy. Sometimes they're just gonna announce stuff just to appease the viewers at home because this is what's coming up. I think sometimes we get too caught up in the whole spec side of things that we think that everything has to be like a spec.
Yep.
For real. You know, I will say though, of all the Marvel announcements, projects that they got going on and everything like that, the one that I was the most disappointed in was the I Am Groot specials that they're going to be doing. And
No,
the reason that I'm disappointed in it is because, like, if we were getting that, I wanted it to be fucking Rocket and Groot.
Wait, face. Is that a special or is that an animated series?
I think they're doing like a series of is what it is.
Yeah, I think it's a series.
So it's going to be like a series of kind of animated, like 15-minute episodes or something like that, probably.
You know what? In that vein, if it's a series, and I mean, this is kind of like a low buy-in, but I would probably look out for those Groot, the Rocket Raccoon and Groot series that Marvel did during the Marvel Now era.
Well, my concern is that they're essentially like, it sounds like they're just featuring Groot in it, and that's you know, kind of why I would be like disappointed in it, because I was really hoping we'd get a Rocket and Groot series.
I mean, I'm sure that he's gonna have an ensemble cast to play off of. I don't think it'll just be Groot just left to his own device. I'm sure he'll be obviously the star of the show, but I'm pretty sure that he'll be interacting with other characters, you know, from the Guardians universe.
I mean, realistically, they're using Baby Groot in the series, so it doesn't. They
do
have other characters in there. People are going to eat that shit with a spoon anyway.
Yeah, because I mean, of the different iterations, the Baby Groot one is clearly the one that's catching on with fans.
Right, which is interesting because, you know, when he was a teenager in Endgame, so I guess this has to take place before.
I would assume so, but then again, I just like with the special, I don't really see this series leading so much into the MCU like canon. I think it's just more of like a Disney Plus kind of series. You know what I mean? That's just supposed to be watched as is.
Gotcha.
Trying to locate.
That's possible.
There was.
Because the thing is, you know, Disney, like, you know, with their back catalog, they need to start looking into original content. I mean, on the animated side, I mean, because right now, like, they're pumping out, yes, Mandalorian. We have all these live action, but has there really been any animated series that Disney has done on their Disney Plus? I don't think so. So I think that's something that they want to probably add to their portfolio soon.
I think they have some coming too, though.
I think also what's important, when you said that comment about not everything has to be spec worthy, I think you hit it right on the dot. As well as, you know, I think it's important to note that maybe everything that they announce doesn't happen on time. You know, I've been seeing a lot of these timelines that people have. So like, you know, one that I saw early that they had like the 2021, the 2022, and then a to be announced 2023, things like that. It's easy to spec on that now on like when these movies are coming, because then people start saying, like, for example, I'm looking at one right now, right? So it's got 2021 just in quick order, but just to give an idea of what my point is. It goes WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow, Shang-Chi. Okay, but then you see that She-Hulk is in 2022 according to this one, right? So if you're looking to spec on a character and you see that it's like 2 years away, and then you want to kind of spec on characters around that character and things like that, you almost have 2 years to think. What I'm trying to get at is, you know, not everything is going to come out on time, I don't think. And sometimes,
no, for sure. No.
Yeah, and sometimes not everything they announce comes out. They could cancel it because just remember, they had the Gambit stuff. Well, there hasn't been a Gambit. You know what I mean? So just
originally going to be a movie, and then it was originally going to be heavily tied into the MCU, and then it was a dumpster fire, and Marvel wants no part of it.
Yeah. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Just because, you know, we do have new collectors and new people coming in every day to the community, right? And it's not fair for them to just kind of hop in and see that all these things are coming and then just kind of maybe spend their money, right? I think there's a few channels that do tips on how to be a new collector and things like that. You know, I always just put that, you know, that little bit of information out there. Just be careful. Just because they announce it doesn't mean it's going to be on time, come out.
No,
So,
and that's the whole thing about catching the waves. I mean, once something is dropped news-wise, it takes months of production, development, and all that for the thing to even get to see the light of day. So even if, let's say, you missed out on certain books and you feel that that FOMO is kicking in, just wait a few months, and then if it's something that you really want, it'll come back down. Maybe it might not come down to the same level as it did before the announcement, but it'll still come down, lower than the peaks that we're seeing right now.
Yeah. Hawaiian actually beat me to the punch. No pun intended, because his name is Hawaiian Punch. But huge news that came out is actually that Christian Bale will be playing or the Butcher. I think we talked about it last week where we thought that Christian Bale might be Adam Warlock. So it's kind of huge.
Wait, newbie, just before you continue, just regarding Johnny's question about if Groot's show is animated, I actually thought it was, but while you were talking, I was trying to do some quick research, and I'm actually not seeing anything that's confirming that it's animated. So
No.
I may have misspoken. So it's possible that it may not be, unless you guys were aware that it might be animated or not.
I just heard a rumor that all of it could have been, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, even if it was live action or not, I mean, I think it's like Ant-Man, right? It's for the whole family to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if it's a Christmas special, I mean, how much damage can they really do, right?
No, I'm not talking about the Christmas. I'm talking about the Groot TV show.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Christian Bale being that role, that book has gone up like crazy. Like I think it's at like what, $300 now?
It was like a $50 book at one point raw, and then now it's like what, 250 Canadian, I think.
Yeah.
And I think a CGC 9.8 is going for like around $500 or $600 Canadian. So, and for the longest time, here's the funny thing is my LCS had Thor, the full Thor God of Thunder for $300 Canadian prior to the news. I'm pretty sure that set might have been picked up by now at this point. $300 for 25 issues. That issue two alone is basically commanding that same dollar value.
Well, Reader Die actually has the whole set, and he says, should he sell it or wait? I would probably.
Okay, so is he asking to sell the whole set or just sell his issue number 2? Okay, he's asking for the whole run.
Yeah, it depends on how confident you feel in Gore and this movie, because I mean, obviously you're gonna see, pretty good prices on it right now with the casting announcement. I mean, it's obviously a major casting. Christian Bale is a huge actor. If you think he's gonna knock it out of the park as Gore, and
I would say me personally, if I had it, obviously that you might be able to sell it really quick right now, and maybe $300 to $500 is, depending on your situation and what's going on in the world, that's a reality. Some people are selling books just because they can make money and they need it. There is a pandemic going out there. So if it's that you want, I would say yes. But if you've got time to hold on to it, I would probably wait for a trailer. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So what are you going to do with it?
Good question. I don't know, man. I mean, I think we've had this discussion before. I have a hard time parting with my collection to begin with. Had I had doubles of this, maybe it's a different conversation. But this is my only copy, so
yeah. I'm in the same boat.
And the thing is,
this is the only copy that I've got. I'm not getting rid of it.
Okay.
You know what the funny thing about that issue is? I don't know if I ever mentioned this to you, but we were always talking about how I luck into these ridiculous deals. When I got back,
we've talked about it.
About this book?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
all right.
not that book, but we've talked about some of the ways you get your books, and it's
So the thing is, when I got back,
sounds like kneecapping people for him.
What's that?
I said it sounds like he's kneecapping people for him.
I don't have that kind of connection, even though I am in Montreal and there is a big mob scene there. But no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna be knocking on your door tonight. You can just put their shit out there.
I agree with you, Eric. I totally agree with you. But moving on. You guys go. I agree with that.
So 2 years ago, when I got back into the hobby, I was just looking for stuff to kind of just add to my collection, just because I didn't really know what I was gonna buy. So this guy was just selling off his collection, and because he's moving away, so he wanted to sell me Thor, God of Thunder issue 1 to 11 for $15 Canadian. This is before the Venom series came out and the whole Null, with Null's first appearance. So for $15, I bought the first 11 issues, and then after that, I think I bought the rest of the run on a 50% off, like Black Friday deal. So my entire Thor, God of Thunder, I think I spent 70 or $80 Canadian for the entire thing. So,
Damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So will it keep its value? So here's the thing. I think if it's one and done, like me personally, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a one and done. I personally don't have a copy, so I can only speak on the what if, right? You got people like Face and Hyper who do have a copy. You do get attached to these things, just like Hyper said, so it is sometimes hard. I know I get that from any book that I sell. I have that, but it is what it is. I would just say, if it's not a book that's dear and near to you, and when the hype is done, when the movie's over, if you still want it, I'm sure you could find it afterwards for cheaper. So,
I have a hard time though thinking that he's going to be one and done just because of who they cast.
I just don't.
Well, like they were saying in chat, I think that Bill didn't want a long-term character.
Yeah.
So, him being a one and done or possibly in like a two-parter maybe isn't necessarily out of the realm of possibility. But
Yeah.
the thing is, I don't necessarily think that would even hurt the prospects for, the character or that book either. I mean, it's because it's only a matter of time in comics and everything like that before these characters end up coming back some form or fashion. So
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, Gore in the comics isn't just confined to the God of Thunder series. He does pop up in other places. So he's one of those characters that almost has almost like a folk legend to him at this point.
So, okay, but let me put this scenario in your head for a second. So so the trailer comes out, let's say for whatever reason the trailer comes out tomorrow. Okay,
Yeah.
You can get say $1,000 for it. Okay, if it's not a book, and again, I know you only have one copy of it, but like if it were me in those shoes, I would sell it for $1,000 when that trailer dropped, and then once it's over, if I needed to go buy another copy, I could probably get another copy later on, probably at a cheaper price. No?
Okay, in that scenario, what I would probably do in that scenario, just so that, like, since we're playing hypothetical, if it was 1,000, what I'd probably do is I'd grade it, get that 9.8, get the most dollar, I can for that book, and then basically just buy a raw copy, because I'm, obviously a raw copy is going to cost a fraction of what a graded copy is. So it's almost like I'll still get the profits from that book, but I'll still have that book back in my collection. That probably might be the way to go.
I'm kind of with Johnny here, man. And again, it's not because I don't own the book, because I've said that with a lot of books that I own.
But he does bring up a good point though, because Hela was also kind of a prominent figure in the comics, and she was kind of one and done in the.
Oh, so was Ronan.
Yeah, mind you,
Whiplash, Mickey Rourke.
Mind you, Hela is an expensive book too. Still.
No, but I'm just like, he brought up some good points in terms of characters that have had a rich history in the comics were pretty much snuffed out in one movie. So yeah, I mean, this goes to the whole point where spec'ing on villains is a dicey proposition.
Man, but unless they're like A-list, it's tough, man. And I know people say that about Null because Null is. I mean, okay, would you guys put Null in the category of like Joker,
No,
Goblin, no.
no, not at all. Only because Joker has a lot more pop culture appeal than Null does. Null, if you talk to a guy down the street, they'll be, "What the hell are you talking about? Like, what the hell's a Null?"
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Like, whereas Joker, I think you don't. I could ask, like, my sister who doesn't read comics, do you know Joker? She'll definitely know who Joker is.
Yeah,
If I say Null, nothing.
yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. We can add this to our conversation for tomorrow on our spec/comic news/new comic book day segment. It's going on tomorrow at 9:30
But
Eastern time.
just one point about the villain thing. Like, I think we mentioned this before. Like, certain villains, the movies do give them a bit of popularity, but those villains that will always have that staying power is the ones that always had a popularity before the movies came out. Like a Thanos. Like, he
Yeah.
was popular before the movies. The movies kind of augmented his value on his books. But even when he was taken out in Endgame, his books aren't exactly. I mean, they've gone down, but they're not cheap either. So.
Well, and they're always leaving room for these different villains to come back. Like they've already, they pretty much confirmed that you're going to see young Thanos in the Eternals movie.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I've heard that. But then it also leaves the door open because they did come out and say that we're going to see Thanos, right? In flashbacks, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
JJ, this is a funny comment. I like that.
I thought he actually hit his head on the keyboard when he wrote that. I didn't realize that he did that on purpose.
Null compared
to take one or two.
To other villains is bottom of B tier. Yeah, in comics. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. I mean,
and you know what concerns me about Null and the whole King in Black event. So the thing that they were talking about, and actually we can get into it more tomorrow, but Marvel just and I think it was the editor Tom Brevoort said that the Phoenix event for the Avengers was gonna lead to some kind of sort of like a rebirth in like the Marvel universe, or as far
not
as
again, another rebirth.
Which, well, the thing that gets me though is that these two events, like the Phoenix event starts before King in Black ends. So how fucking consequential can any of this shit be?
This is almost like when Endless Winter is around the same time as Death Metal.
Right. It's just like it's really bad timing.
Yeah.
And it just really makes it feel like the consequences are not there at all.
Eric, I feel like you open, like, not you specifically, well, obviously in this conversation, but it opens up a can of worms when this is brought up. This whole, not necessarily if it's a good character or bad, but just the fact that it's new, because you do have those people. Mostly, it's the people that own the book, right? Saying no, it's not too early. They could use them, and it's usually people that don't have the book that are like,
I own the book, and I still tell you it's way too fucking early.
Yeah,
I don't own the book, and I mean I used to. I don't anymore, and I think that it's way too soon. Just like Punchline, I think it's way too soon.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That, especially with DC, that dumpster fire.
Punchline. You know what? I would actually think that Punchline would be likely to see sooner than Null, just because of the fact that she's easier to pull off in the movies. Null needs setup and building, and Null takes time. There's a whole,
he can't
whole bunch of shit you got to get into.
Yeah, but it's like Universe X says. All you have to do is drop his name, or there be that logo, the red logo somewhere, and people will go nuts. Like, absolutely.
Oh, and it's probably only a matter of time before you see him start doing shit like that.
Yeah.
It's probably very soon.
Interesting thing that in the chat here is Read or Die. Interesting Marvel phase to not have a focal villain yet. But again, we also haven't seen Black Widow. We haven't seen the end credits of that. We haven't seen WandaVision, which was supposed to already come out, right? Which was supposed to lead into Doctor Strange. So, like, we do have these things that necessarily, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would already have that information, and maybe they would have dropped some hints in, say, an end credit or throughout the show or things like that. So we also got to keep that in mind too, right?
And and the other thing that I think is that, like, even though there is more universe building definitely going on in the space with Doctor Strange and Ant-Man and everything like that, it does have more. I think it has more of a phase one type of feel to it, where
Yeah.
they're kind of going back to introducing characters and hitting a lot of solo stories and stuff like that.
I totally agree with you, Face. Totally agree with you. Flip that book, snatch up Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom, man, like
Doctor Doom is a lot more pricier than what Thor: God of Thunder 2 is going for.
Yeah. I also
Yep.
think the null stuff. I think it also depends on the success of that Venom too, because even though we're gonna have Carnage, I mean, I think we're all in consensus here. Where I mean, if the rating of that movie is not to where the character of Carnage should be, it's probably going to be lackluster. It's probably not going to be a really good movie.
Yeah.
So that worries me.
I'm disappointed in your lack of faith in Woody Harrelson.
No, you know what? Face has me coming around to like when he mentioned Woody Harrelson, I had to think for a moment. He brought up a good point. Like they wouldn't cast someone like Woody Harrelson unless they wanted someone that could tap into that R-rated, material.
I'm telling you, watch Natural Born Killers. If you have not seen Natural Born Killers, watch that movie, and you'll be convinced.
I just think that when you look at, like, say, Old Man Logan and Deadpool, you see the success that those movies had with those ratings. I think a character like Carnage, like you can't, not show him doing some of the stuff that he does because he is a serial killer. He's messed up. Like that's what the character is. So I hope that when the movie does come out, he is as crazy, cynical, and things like that, because I think that's going to make the movie better.
Yeah.
That can of worms for if we're going to see Carnage again is another conversation that's crazy. But I also do think that if that movie is a success and then Venom gets carried over to MCU and things like that, we might see Null. The thing with Null is I think we might get a Null thing going on like we did Joker, like a standalone movie first before he's actually introduced to anything.
Oof, that's a bit tough because the thing is, like I mentioned before, Null right now is more popular among the comic book community more so than the casual. The reason that the Joker movie could be done as a standalone is because the casuals already embraced Joker as a character that they all know and love. Putting Null as a standalone is a tough proposition because sure, us, the readers, will be on board, but it's going to be a hard sell for the people that don't really know who this Null character is. You know what I mean?
But you can also build the popularity too with a standalone, because I don't think you're going to see Null for like 8 years, maybe somewhere around there. Like, think about it. A movie comes out like almost every year, maybe every 2 years, right? Like, so just look at what was already announced. If they're already going with what was announced, plus they didn't talk about G, they didn't talk about Eternals. Like, you add all that stuff, Spider-Man, the Sony Morbius, all this stuff. Like, how are you know what I mean? Like, you have to also keep that in mind, right?
Well, and the thing is, Null's one of those things where they can, even at the point that they're at, they can afford to take their time with it and still be in a position to potentially start dropping hints now. Null is one of those characters that gives you like an Easter egg field day just with that, with the symbol. Just throwing that in the background periodically in movies shows you that, hey, like, this is on our radar. It's something that eventually we are going to build to or maybe get to or think about or whatever, but we're not there yet. And we've seen them do it before with Beta Ray Bill. They've Easter egged him in 2 different movies. Warlock.
Oh shit!
So they like to throw those Easter eggs in there, and it takes time before you see them pan out, if they even do.
Yeah. You know what? Sorry. Okay. So you just light bulb went off in my head. Okay, 2 things. I want to finish up because I do want to go check out Sparks comic stuff, and Hype has got to go get ready for that. 2 things. One, with the chat, I think Woody Harrelson is going to play a good Carnage. I just hope that they give the movie the proper rating where he can be the Carnage that we all want him to be. That's my only thing. 2, with that Beta Ray Easter egg, going back to Loki, when he is down in the TVA, okay, and he's getting talked to by, I think it's a woman, in the back behind her, there's those three faces. I think it's Magneto, Apocalypse, and I don't know who the third one is, and I might be wrong on that Apocalypse one. I think the only one that
I gotta rewatch that part.
Magneto. Yeah, I stopped it and I'm like, who?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch it too.
Who are these? The middle one is Magneto, it looks like.
Okay.
And then the other two, the one looks like Apocalypse, I don't know, and then the other, to be honest, it almost looks like Darkseid and Bane. So it was kind of one of those things where I'm like,
Okay, now I definitely need to
yeah,
rewatch.
definitely go check that out, because I was kind of confused looking at it. I'm like,
Wait, it looks like Darkseid or Bane.
yeah, what, like the one looks like,
Pretty sure they're not showing up.
I know.
I feel confident in that prediction.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, it just kind of had that vibe where I was like, okay, wait, what the hell? So yeah, but to me, it looks like Apocalypse, Magneto. The third one, I have no idea. But yeah, definitely check it out and let me know what you guys think. But yeah, that was one of the big things that I had like a question mark on the trailer. I was like, who the hell are these guys? Because again, when that Thor movie came out,
yeah, Living Tribunal makes sense.
Ooh, could it be? Yeah, his face is kind of. You know what? Go check the trailer out and then let me know what you guys think.
Yeah. I'm super curious. Yeah.
Three faces of. Ooh, man, if that's the Easter egg. Oh. I talked to you guys about that when we were doing our villain show.
You did.
And I said, man, this is one of the books you should jump on. But hey, whatever. You live, you learn. There's always books. New books come out every Wednesday, right? That's the beauty of it. So hey, it is what it is. All right. So just before we leave, I just do want to mention thanks everybody for joining. We will be back on tomorrow for New Comic Book Day and our spec. We got some comic news. So tune into that. Me personally, I'll be dropping a video this week. I just announced a giveaway, so go check that out. There's a video on my channel. So that's it for me. Hyper, what do you got going on?
And I just realized there's so much to cover in that MCI. We barely even scratched the surface on the other properties like Miss Marvel and America Chavez and all that. Probably that's for another time. But yeah, it just goes to show
we'll
that
turn this into a two-parter.
Yeah, because they threw a lot at us last week.
But that's also, that's also, a big shout out to the chat. They get involved, and then we get to thinking, and we start doing other things, and then everybody's opinion, and then you start thinking, okay, maybe boom boom boom. So it is always fun. I always have fun with these. But yeah, just make sure you guys go check out all our stuff. But again, yeah, Hyper, do you have anything coming up? What's going on?
Well, actually, I have something coming up. Actually, as you mentioned before, at 11:30 Eastern, I'll be doing an FOC show with Sparks Comics. So I know he's been doing some FOC, but they were pre-recorded. He's going back live again for the first time in it's been a few months or a few weeks. So yeah, I'll be joining him on that, and we'll be touching on what books you may want to look out for come Monday when you're doing your pre-orders.
Face, what do you got coming up, brother?
I'm actually working on some things that I'm going to be dropping soon. Been having internet issues, but we're getting those worked out, and I've been recording videos that I'm going to get dropped as soon as I can.
Wait, newbie.
Yes.
Are you able to just drop the link for Sparks channel, or?
If you send it to me, I can drop it for sure.
Let me see.
Read or die. Yes, we do have IG. We all have Instagram. For most, I know. Yeah. So mine is Newbie Comics. FaceTime's is FaceTime, and Hyper's is Hyper Combo.
Right there on the, yep.
So let me just check. Where did you send it to? My Instagram?
I'm sending it right now. Hold on.
You're touching on things again, Hyper. So yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for joining. Like I said, we do have our spec and New Comic Book Day dropping tomorrow, so we'll be going at 9:30 Eastern time again. Tune in for that because it's always fun. I say a lot, but hey, they're always all fun.
I just send it to your IG.
Okay, so let me just. Perfect. So I'll just put this. You can find Hyper here, and this is where he's going to be at. So make sure you guys go check out the FOC. You definitely don't want to miss anything that's going on. So there you go. Make sure you guys go and watch Hyper there and Sparks. I'm going to try to be there, but you know, I do have to work early, so I'll see what I can do. And that's it. Anybody have anything else to say?
No, man. Just sorry, I think I cut off Face. What were you saying, Face?
Oh no, I just said I'm good, man.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll see everybody. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Cool. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.